Okay. You want to talk about Infinite Man?
Yeah, we might as well.
Let's talk about Infinite Man.
I'm really excited to hear more about this.
Yeah, so Infinite Man was, I think it was the second film I saw. This was what I saw. There was like 3 other films I wanted to see, but I picked this one.
Yeah, this would have been the second film, third thing I'd gone to because we went to the Skywalker sound
That's right.
presentation.
So Infinite Man is about a guy who's sort of extraordinarily obsessive. Not sort of. He's very obsessive.
Yeah.
He wants everything to be perfect. He has an order of things that are going to happen and he's got this girlfriend, and he is trying to set up the perfect anniversary weekend between him and his girlfriend. So they show up, and basically what he's trying to do, which kind of an odd idea to start with, he's trying to remake exactly the anniversary they had the year before. So he wants to go to the same place, do the same activities, because it was such a good time last time. Let's do it over.
Right.
That's his idea. This starts going wrong right away because the hotel that they stayed at last year is now closed.
Oh.
In fact, deserted.
Yeah.
In the middle of what appears to be a desert.
It's the Australian desert,
Yeah.
to be exact.
Yeah.
Outback. Okay.
So he's trying to make the best of it, and I guess they break into a room, or maybe they're unlocked, I don't know. But they find a bed in one of the rooms and move it into the room that they stayed in last year. And, he's trying to set up the picnic basket that he had. And he's like, all right, we're going to play this music at this time. And she's like, let's just go to the beach. And he's like, no, that's not until tomorrow at 7 p.m. and all this. And it keeps going. And then her ex shows up. And they get into an altercation, and he overhears that she's going to leave with this guy after he wakes up from being knocked out. And so he's furious, and he tells her, he never wants to see her again, and she leaves. So this sends him into a deep depression. It kind of breaks him. And what he does in response to this is he builds a time machine.
As you do.
Yeah.
As you do.
Builds a time machine at the hotel. It takes him 1 year, and he calls her on what would have been their anniversary and says, just come visit me at the hotel. I need to talk to you. It's really important. She shows up. He convinces her to go to where the time machine is. He hooks her up, and they go back 1 year to the date of the anniversary because he thinks he can get it right this time.
I'm with you so far.
As expected, he does not get it right this time. So it goes even worse the second time. And then he decides this sort of second version of him, this sort of middle version of him, is now decided, all right, we can try this again. So he goes back again. So now there's 3 versions of him, and it keeps on going.
And so all the versions with him are in the same room at the same time.
It's not. So it's not. Him going back in time and immediately replacing himself. It's him basically duplicating himself.
Yeah,
and with the knowledge, with the knowledge of what happened last time through observation.
Yeah. And that's where it gets really interesting because you start to discover the things you thought you saw in the first time through are not actually what happened the first time through.
Course,
and
right.
as he keeps going through, he starts meeting other versions of himself. And some of them are trying to help him out. Some of them are trying to keep him away. Some of them are –
because some of them obviously are in on the trick at some point.
Yeah.
I guess as soon as the third one comes around – that's where kind of things go haywire, and you can actually follow the characters quite well. And even sort of in the middle of the movie, the movie kind of winks at you a little bit, where it's just like, I don't know, there's an actual character that says, I don't even know what's happening anymore.
That's fantastic.
To just sort of make lighthearted of the situation that these characters have been put in.
Because what's really interesting is the girlfriend is also going through a lot of these loops with him.
Yeah.
And is also participating in this.
So she has multiple versions of herself as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And even the boyfriend eventually learns that he has multiple versions of himself.
Yeah.
And so he sort of plays off of that in a really entertaining fashion. The boyfriend isn't – he's kind of this macho character that isn't as obviously as intelligent as the lead character, but is certainly a character that is memorable.
Yeah, very memorable.
For his own – for his own
fantastic.
reasons. It really was.
Is it as good as the premise sounds?
Yeah.
Okay.
It really
I think
is.
it's better than the premise sounds, honestly. Like I was kind of expecting it to kind of break down at a certain point and get kind of lost. I never really got lost. I felt like I understood where everything was.
Right.
It kind of reminded me of Primer.
Oh,
you see Primer?
Well, yep, absolutely.
It's a romantic comedy version of Primer in a lot of ways.
It was almost like, Primer meets a Wes Anderson film.
Yeah.
Like if Wes Anderson made a time travel movie, I think this would be pretty close to it.
That's interesting.
That's kind of the thought I got. It's very lighthearted. It immediately invents its own world. I think that you only see these three characters. That's it.
And they're almost always in this one location.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it definitely sets up its own rules, I think, right away for you to follow.
I think it's important in time travel movies to have rules and then adhere to them and then play with them as you can. I think even winking at the audience, if the case may be, but I think it's an important concept of all time.
It's refreshing. It definitely, I think, has some ideas about time travel and just relationships in general. Sort of that whole "what would you do if you had a second chance" kind of thing, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go in your favor, as it certainly doesn't for many different scenarios in this film. And even at that point, I think a lot of time travel movies sort of try to make it so that the characters like, oh, you should never, talk to yourself because like
the world will explode.
Your character's head will fall off or something. It's like, being in the know isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
And it, for it to do that, for it to sort of pull you in and to make you immediately not sort of think about it from a scientific level, whereas it's mostly saying, like, yeah, regardless of what this guy does, the outcome is never going to be the same.
Yeah.
I think it has an important lesson there.
And I think what I loved most about it was when, like, a lot of movies would have broken down at the point when it started sort of redoing stuff that you thought you knew. This movie does not. Like like you find out more information later on that sort of rewrites the whole movie as you're going, and it just gets more entertaining that way. I mean, I won't give it away. There's this one moment. There's this conversation that two characters are having, and you're sure you know what conversation they're having, and you're sure you know what they're talking about. You find out it's actually not what you're hearing at all. And it just gets better and better.
Gosh, I'm sold on this. Man.
It
sounds fantastic.
It was definitely one of like my top 2 or 3 favorite films of the festival. I loved Infinite Man. I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah, the main character is definitely self-sabotaging in a very special way. He means so well, but that if you know somebody that's like this, you just immediately know that no matter how much they want to control things, nobody wants to be controlled. Right. It's just one of those things. It definitely breaks the loop, I think, of sort of that convention of what a time travel movie can be. I believe they filmed it out of sequence too, which is amazing.
Yeah, I think so. That's what he said.
For them to do that. And the one thing that I was actually talking to John about after the fact was that it was impressive that I guess that the director signed up for a film grant in Australia where they basically funded first-time directors.
Oh, neat.
So he had a full budget before he even wrote a single word.
Oh, my gosh.
Which is completely insane.
That would never happen today.
Because he would have had the most difficult time getting somebody to pay for this movie if they actually tried to sit down and read this script, which is just amazing. So, it's just all these happenstance scenarios that sort of came about for this movie to happen, which is amazing. And I think they said they shot it in just under 30 days, which is pretty impressive. I would never want to be a script supervisor on a time travel movie, ever. And
especially this one.
Yeah. So whomever took that role, they did a fantastic job because there were very few instances where I was like, wait a second, I was never sort of pulled out of the movie because of that. I am sort of one of those people that was like, wait, that's like that. And then I rewind the movie. My wife's like, why are you rewinding the movie? And I'm like, look, it's different. She's like, it is, but why did you rewind the movie? I'm like, because somebody else has to know.
Did you have to spoil it for everyone?
Yeah. So I didn't see anything like that in here. It was very entertaining from start to finish. Felt longer than 84 minutes, but in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
Like it definitely, the time doesn't sort of wear on you at all. So I really am looking forward to seeing this get an audience and sort of get a following because I just was very entertained by it, and the acting is great. Especially the lead character did a really really good job with the role. So, which I imagine is not easy with there being I think they said five
versions of
the character. So
wow,
I mean at least 5 that have speaking parts,
right, and all uniquely their own.
Yeah,
for him to sort of act them as from different perspectives is impressive.
Yeah. A Place for Film is recorded at WFIU Studios in Bloomington, Indiana.